Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ape and Pony Show. This is BP, your favorite ape. Really excited to bring our guests with you here today. We've got an extra special one, dropping a midweek show for a special announcement coming up on Thursday of this week. I apologize in advance to our listeners. I may turn into a little bit of a fanboy here today because this guest is, if there's any one individual who's probably personally responsible for my love for this space and my entry. I think I've shared previously. I got started back in Top Shot in January earlier this year, and still a big fan and had a lot of fun collecting. I'm a big sports fan by at heart, but it was my introduction to ZED shortly after, probably in February, that just opened up my eyes to the entire ecosystem of NFTs in the space and the creativity that's taking place, and really the vision of the future. And getting a chance, I've heard my guest speak a few times on some other shows, and getting a chance to listen to him and the other co-founders of ZED is really just, it's been inspiring and well, quite frankly, that it's they're truly the reason we're here. It's part of the namesake of the show, be it the Ape and Pony Show. Big fan of the Bored Ape community, as well as the ZED community. And without further ado, I want to introduce Chris Ebeling to everyone. Ebs, more affectionately known as the co-founder of ZED. And Chris, thanks for joining us today. Welcome. Really appreciate your time and looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate the kind words and sentiments. You don't have to fanboy me, man. I'm just human, man. We the same, so it's all good. It's always humbling. It's always too humbling sometimes. But appreciate it, man.
No, my pleasure. Really appreciate your time and looking forward to diving into this day. That said, I'd love to. We'll certainly talk about ZED. We've got a big drop coming up Thursday. For those listening in, we're recording this Tuesday morning here in the States, or Tuesday night if you're out in Australia, and we'll release this on Wednesday. So just from a timing standpoint, if you hear us talking about that $1 million drop, that'll be shortly after we release the pod. But before we get into the NFT discussion and ZED, Ebs, I'd love to hear a little more about your background. Prior to NFTs, prior to ZED and Virtually Human Studios, were you into crypto previously? Were you was ZED your first NFT project? Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, for sure, man. No, so my introduction to crypto was actually through an old 3D teacher of mine, but that was back in 2017. Just a guy I kept in check with, a guy I really like called Rob Mack. He's a really cool ZBrush 3D sculptor, if you guys know what that is. If not, it doesn't matter. But he introduced me, hit me up one day just saying, yo, man, he appreciated me, and he kind of said, yo, you should look into this stuff. This thing called Ethereum's out there, and it was about Aussie dollars. It was about $270 at the time. And so I bought in back then in 2017, and, been riding it ever since, ebbs and flows. And then, I got kind of into it like everybody else does, and you're looking at other coins. Everybody's chasing that, that token that's going to take you to the top, the next Bitcoin. So bought a few duds, bought a few good ones, holding a bit, and it's just it's money that you can afford to lose. Basically, that's how I play the game. And in terms of my career and introduction to ZED. My background is 3D animation. I've been an animator and a creative director and a digital artist for a good 15 years now, since 2005, or actually 2006. And I've worked on feature film movies, the Great Gatsby's, Happy Feet movies, Lego movies. I've done commercials, TV commercials, done games and cinematics, and all from small studios to big Hollywood blockbusters, DC Comics to Marvel. So I've been around the block, all done from Australia though, which is beautiful. So I've always been able to stay rooted here in Sydney, Australia, is where I've been living most of my life, and raised a family doing so. And and now I'm into ZED.
Awesome. Now your portfolio is incredible. For those that aren't familiar, where can you tell them where they might be able to see some of your past work?
Just chrisebeling.com. It's kind of as a digital hustler, basically. When you're an artist, a digital artist, you're a digital nomad, man. There's no full-time job. Like the longest job I've actually have is probably this one with ZED, is the second longest. Before that was the job I had before this, was where I was helping a university build an innovation center and a course for innovation and creative, generation of training young artists to become creators and innovators in the emerging tech space, using digital artistry. So I did that for 3 years before joining Zed, and that was the longest job I've had in what, 15, 16 years. So basically I've been jumping around, as a digital artist, as they say, you're a digital nomad, you're jumping from studio to studio. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
That's great. Any of those big projects stand out as one more memorable than the other, or any?
No doubt. Yeah. Look, the Lego movie, man, when we did the Lego movie, that was an absolute blast, for a number of reasons. Nobody believed we could pull it off. Even, when Animal Logic, the company I worked for, they pitched the idea together with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, two great directors that I had the pleasure of working with. They had to pitch this idea and show that they could bring life to Lego characters, right? And that's a hard thing. When you look at Lego characters, I've got one at my desk. It's stiff. How do you bring that to life? But the pitch was basically, imagine Michael Bay doing his own stop motion Lego movie in his basement with unlimited budget, right? And that was the kind of outline of the story. And then we, as animators, had to show and prove that we could bring these characters to life while still making them be real Lego pieces, right? Like we weren't allowed to bend them like the Lego games and the Lego commercials. We weren't allowed to detach their heads or disembody them. Everything had to be animated in a way so it felt like somebody could have done it with stop motion. And we did. And when the first trailer, like I remember when the first trailer dropped, as an artist, you're always waiting for what people, that's the best thing about being an artist, is seeing what people think, right? That's why we do it. We do it for the love of giving other people joy, or utility in this case, or an emotional experience. And when people started arguing and discussing, no, this is real, this is stop motion mixed with CG. No, it's full stop motion. And once those like comments were coming, we were just sitting licking our lips and laughing, because we had done it right. We had made there's so much that goes into it, right? So we as animators just do the performance. So we bring Chris Pratt to life in Emmett, and we puppeteer. But there's also the people who do the surfacing, the lighting, like to make it look like it's real lit and it's a real Lego piece with all the scratches on it and the fingerprints. Like all that is teamwork that comes into play that makes that illusion of life, that illusion of them being real Legos real. And that was a blast, man. And also so that was one thing, but also because then we worked with a guy called Chris McKay, who I really look up, I really admire as a director. Like he was an animation director at the time, but then Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they had to move on. They were doing 21 Jump Street 2.5 or whatever it's called. Like, what was it called? They did the 21 Jump Street.
The one after 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, 22 Jump Street, or what, 21.5. I don't know what they called it, but they ran off and did that. So then Chris McKay, he took over, and so this was his first directing role. And the cool thing about that was he was so open to us animators pitching ideas. So any scene in the movie, you could kind of write Chris and say, hey, what if you do this? What if you do that? And he took it all on board. And it was just this big collaborative where you felt really involved and you felt really engaged, and you felt really as you were part of that, the creation of this quote unquote, I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but it's a great movie, right?
Very cool. How many people, how big is a team? How many people are working on a project like that?
So just animators alone, we were 60 animators.
Wow.
So that's people just doing the puppeteering, but it's all up. If you look at the credits, you'll see it's like 600 people, 500, 600 people.
And just the animators, so, are you distributed all across the world then? Is that all working?
No, so this is pre-COVID. Like,
okay.
When did Lego Movie come out? In 2012, 13, I think, was when it was made. I think my son was born at that time, so 2013. And no, we're all sitting in the same studio here in Fox Studios in Australia. Animal Logic, recently they've been doing the Peter Rabbit movies there, but then we also did the Lego Batman movies and the Lego Ninjago movies. And they did the Matrix back in the day. They did the first Happy Feet movie. They've done Moulin Rouge. They've done a lot of stuff, and I've worked with them for many years, on and off. Again, being a digital nomad, you go for a contract, you hang out for a year, you go somewhere else, hang out for a year, you come back, you jump around, which is awesome, man. Like it's just awesome to be able to live a refreshing lifestyle like that, because you meet more people, you're constantly engaged with new people and new surroundings, and it's like it keeps you on your toes and your heels. So
I have to imagine this space is just putting that into hyperdrive, right?
Oh, like you're talking about NFT and Zed? Yeah. Well,
as far as meeting new people.
Oh, dude, like every day there's a new project, right? Or if you fall asleep on the weekend, then you see like 3 new NFT projects spawning. So it's an exciting space for sure. And like what I've said before is like a day in the NFT crypto space feels like a week. if not a month. You know, like there is no, people are hungry, man, and they really expect things to happen the same speed as everything else, which is couldn't be further from the truth. But you know, that's what we're here to talk about, I guess, as well.
Eb, did you see this coming? I mean, being an animator, the creative director, that having that background, and Zed was early to the space. You've really been pioneering this for years. Did you see
Yeah.
this explosion happening this year, or did you foresee it at some point, or is this even what we're experiencing right now exceeding your expectations of the space?
Yeah, look, it's earlier than we expected, to be honest. We've been doing this for 2 years before you guys, like, and when I say you guys and girls, I should use guys and girls. It's important. In America, noticed us, right? And there's a couple of things for that. Like we were busy doing it here, and yes, of course, I trusted that this was the vision. You know, Chris and Rob, who were the original founders, they came to me. Chris and Rob, I'd worked with them in the past, you know, 6 years ago. Um, and they came to me with this idea while I was at the university doing that innovation center. And when they told me the idea, at that point, CryptoKitties was out there, and we kind of went, yeah, I see this working, because if we're gonna take CryptoKitties, pair it with horse racing, and pair it with visuals that we know we're capable of doing from my background, and also looking at emerging technologies which we know we're capable of doing with the work I've been doing at the university and my background, it's a perfect, it felt like a perfect fit. And I, you know, Chris and Rob, I know them, so I trust those guys as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be here if we didn't believe it. But you know, having said that, there was an overlap of, I didn't jump straight in. I stayed at the university. I worked on it on the side, you know, a side hustle for 6 months. And then once we were able to pitch and get our first round of funding and bring me on full time, then I jumped in and said, all right. But it was still a risk, you know. Um, what really changed was, I think, what I put it down to is Beeple and NBA Top Shots. Like Beeple made headlines big time, and he really made NFT a household, almost a household name. But then on top of that, NBA Top Shots came along with their massive investment and also made a name. And then, you know, those two combined really set the tone. And then we were there already. We'd already been building for 2 years. So then when people noticed that, they're like, oh shit, like this is that, but more. There's more utility. And we always came from that utility aspect. We always thought, you know, again, this was Chris's idea. You know, the story goes, he was at a Chinese restaurant or takeout place, and he saw a poster where it said like $15,000 to breed a horse, or he thought $15,000 for a horse. When he looked closer, he's like, oh, that's to breed a horse. And at the time, CryptoKitties was in the back of his mind, so he put two and two together and hit up Rob, and they spawned this idea, and they hit me up, and they hit Jeff up, and we became the Four Horsemen, basically.
Brilliant. You know, there's a lot of talented teams out there, Ebs, in the space. You know, very talented artists and devs, and it's really exciting to see all the innovation. I personally, I really feel that, you know, your background and your team's background being so diverse, you know, from where I sit, it looks like it gives you guys a unique edge, even over some of those other talented teams, just due to your diversity and experiences. Any take on that? How do you feel that, you know, maybe specifically your background benefits the ZED team and what you guys are building?
Look, I think you're right. I think that's, you know, this is funny because it goes into what I was teaching and what I was building at the university for 3 years. It was taking people who understood film and games and the fidelity that goes into that, and like the craftsmanship of creating a high-end AAA game or a blockbuster movie, and really understanding what it takes to quote unquote, can I swear on this show?
Yeah, go for it.
Or is that okay? Because there's a thing called pixel fuck, and it sounds bad, but what you're doing is you're looking at every pixel on the screen, and you're going frame by frame, and you're actually, it's the worst thing a supervisor can do to you, but it's the best thing as well, because what it is, it's perfection. Or, you know, nothing is perfect, but it's the closest thing. You're making sure everything, you're crossing the I's and dotting the T's visually, right? And that's that's my background. I've worked in the dungeons, I've worked in the trenches doing that for ages, right? And so now building the academy was taking that. I took students who were learning these new crafts, learned how to polish, and then we took that and we transferred those skills into emerging technologies, be it augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed realities, or, you know, machine learning. And they learned how to adapt those talents and skills into these new mediums, because again, my theory with that whole innovation center as well is, we know what we're doing now, but let's build for the future. You know, once Apple releases its glasses, you know, and everybody's wearing them, there's going to be a call for content, you know, mixed reality content, And now I've positioned these artists and positioned ourselves to be the people who make the content there, and not just any content, you're just not throwing shit out there. It's actually content that has that film fidelity to it. That's important because there's so much, again, film language and skill and all that. We've learned that over 100 years, and we've taken that and put into our craftsmanship as digital artists, and all the background, like fundamental artwork and color theory and all that. You take that and put that into 3D as well, and animation, and you transfer that now. It's just the next logical step, right? And so that was big for us at the university. And not to blow smoke up my backside, but that university was really good. Like 90% of those students walked into jobs straight afterwards, which is a huge in the digital space. Like 90% usually never. It's usually more like 20% out of courses. And so I was very proud of that. And they won a lot of awards too. The university won industry awards on like the high level. Like we won awards that instead of like that DreamWorks had won the year before, and we're a university, so that was really special to us. And that showed kind of the proof in the pudding of, I'm not an academic by no means. I've just got experience, right? And a can-do attitude and a positive kind of outlook on what's doable. And yeah, just to prove that you could do that. And I'm not I don't have a master's, I don't have a bachelor even. Like I've just learned through doing the work. Experience is your best teacher. I thought that's so again, Lego Movie is one of my favorite moments for many reasons. And also the university building that academy was for many reasons. It was a success. And I'm really proud of that too. So
it's awesome.
So definitely I see we do have an edge in terms of that, but don't get me wrong. There's so many, like you said, there's so many talented people out there, and it's not really about having an edge. I think it's about executing an idea and doing it right. And also, and taking the right steps to do so. Which is important.
Very cool. From a university and an academy standpoint, outside of what you're doing and what you're driving as a leader in the space, are you seeing that creative space in universities? Are they already embracing blockchain technology and NFTs? Is it still a little premature?
Oh, not yet. No, yeah, totally premature. So that was me going even one step ahead, right? Like, so we're talking still like AR, VR, machine learning is the thing now, like, GAN imagery and stuff like that, which is cool. And also super powerful. Virtual production is a thing, like they did in The Mandalorian, using LED screens and virtual cameras on set with live action characters, superimposing them into virtual worlds and making it fit seamlessly. Like that stuff it's being done now, but it's also been done for a while. So that's what we were kind of focused on. But crypto is still so young, man. Like, and that, like, I think if you look at the statistics worldwide, I think 20% of the world hold crypto. So there's still a long way to go. And yet we're talking about NFTs. Now, if only 20% hold crypto, how many percent hold NFTs? It's even less, right? So we're still so early in this revolution, which it is. It's a revolution, and it's a beautiful thing. It's empowering so many people who otherwise wouldn't be empowered, and I think that's what crypto does. I think that's what crypto has done. It's made a lot of people who otherwise never would have dreamt of having wealth or some sort of wealth. They do now, and I think I love those stories.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I sense it's more than just the wealth creation and wealth shifting as well. It really, to me, feels, you mentioned revolution, whether it's a revolution, a movement, there's you hit on there earlier, you caught yourself or corrected, guys and gals and that kind of stuff. Like we had a Twitter space conversation last night, just talking about, inclusion in this space and just having hard conversations that I in my professional career, I haven't heard elsewhere. If I did, it was like, oh, you get pulled into like an HR meeting and you sit through a lecture for a couple hours, but it's not real world conversations. And just to see the leaders in this space beyond the art, beyond the technology, just really feels like a cultural social movement. And
it should be. Yeah, we should use this movement to change all that systemic nonsense that's been passed on. It's here. I mean, you see it, man. I mean, come on. I don't want to get political, but you see what's going on in the world, and I think if we have communities, like what it is, we're creating communities, right? The Apes is a perfect example, right? ZED is a perfect example. And if that community can align with good morals, good standards, and good human, like actually empathy and caring and equality, diversity, and taking care of all these things, like that's beautiful, So there's definitely a responsibility on any NFT artist out there and any NFT company, but yet alone any other company, to be honest. Like, it's time for the world to kind of shake up, because we've, I think crypto in its own right is doing that against the banks. Like, it's decentralizing it, right? Like, why the banks got so much power? And so this is an important thing. What crypto is doing, it's taking them out of the equation and making a transaction between me and you. That's it, right? And taking that control away from them. So there's that in the wealth side, but you're absolutely right in the whole community, in the whole well-being side, the human side, I would say. Like, it's important that we have these conversations, and it's important that we stand corrected and correct ourselves, because we need to be better. We need to be better. It's I don't want to go down it's late. It's you're getting me at a very emotional point, bro. But I agree 100%.
That's awesome. No, I could keep going on, but I know some of our listeners are going to hear some chat about ZED today and this $1 million drop and this breeding that just got turned back on this morning. So we were chatting pre-show. I told you threw me a curveball there, getting prepped for the show. I thought I'd get my notes here and get all planned, and I ended up just breeding a few ponies this morning. So
how'd you go?
I haven't named any yet. That was my
you need to take time and do that. Hey.
Oh yeah. My one of my funny ZED stories is I had this just like an epiphany one day. I don't know what hit me, but it's like the perfect pony name came to me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And I kid you not, I stopped what I was doing, ran to the computer, overpaid for a horse on the secondary market that was unnamed solely so I could name the horse before someone took the name. Ended up being a donkey, but I still think Genuine was one of
Genuine.
Genuine was one of my
Genuine, the rapper or the solo, the R&B artist. My pony. Right. Yeah. Right. I get it. I love it. No, like, just to touch on that, naming is super important, man. It's like, we've talked about it before. It's like having a domain name, there's a rush to, somebody grabs all those domain names so they can sell them later. Like, if you're smart, you name them right. And you think of current trends, and you also think of trends moving forward, if you name your horse Luka Doncic, he's worth more already. You know what I mean? Like,
so I wasn't planning on going here today, but since we're on the name topics, how can you talk on that? How does that work for these Genesis horses? Is there a naming team? Is there someone on the team that you got to name these horses? Like,
we all chip in. We look. I'll tell you what, we all used to chip in. It's gotten really busy now we've got a naming team. But in the beginning, it was all us founders, everybody from top to bottom to top, or I like to think we're an even hierarchy. But everybody who was involved with ZED we'd have a spreadsheet that go around, and you'd have your column, and you just go crazy. And it's still some of the most fun I ever had. There's some, for me, I looked up whiskeys and malts and stuff like that, and just went crazy with gins and whiskeys. And so there's Bombay, there's gin and tonic, there's like London Dry, there's all sorts of things. And then I went through, like, because I'm a big basketball fan, and I went through all the names like of basketball legends, like what's the Barkley's name, Round Mound of Rebound or something like that, and like Clyde the Glide or the Glide, and I just went through, and you just Google it, and you're just looking at names, and then when you're sitting watching a movie or you're watching TV, just chilling, all of a sudden you hear somebody say something, and you're just like, that's a cool name. You write it down. Like, it was so much fun, but it's also like at a point where you like, we need to get 6,000 names ready for the $1 million drop, right? So we've had to hire a team to help with that, because we're busy doing a lot of other things. So
love it. Speaking of basketball, the first horse I acquired in a drop was I saw Baby Shaq pop up, and I was like, that's it. And
nice.
As soon as I could click on the name, I was like, that's a winning name. So Baby Shaq.
There's a chance that I named him, man. There's a chance that I named that. If anything with basketball.
My favorite, one of my buddies, actually his first horse, last drop, he got one, a cool horse name. We were all laughing.
Oh yeah.
Any idea who named that one? It was like, we felt it was like probably 2 a.m. We're like, hey, you gotta finish this list up. Think of a cool horse name, and someone just like, cool horse name.
Yeah, there's stories like that, man. Like, sometimes we've been like at the end, hours before a drop, and we just got to get something ready. It's busy. It's busy times, because there's so many, like we're working with innovative stuff, I'll come out and say, and everybody knows it's never been smooth. It's never really gone as smooth as it cool. I hope you're not picking up those kids in the background. But that happens, you know what I mean? That's part of working with innovation. That's part of working with new technology. A lot of bumps and bruises on the way, but we get back up, on the horse and we keep going,
Can we talk about drops for a few minutes?
Yeah, for sure, man.
So the drops have been, one thing I'll applaud you guys for is evolving, making tweaks, listening to the community feedback. When I first heard about ZED, I think it was, I don't remember the name of the drop. It was 3 of them ago, where it was the one that it was hit about 1 a.m. Eastern time, if you can remember. And
yeah, we had some times there.
Yeah, woke up, didn't get any, but it was my first one. Didn't know what I was doing, but it introduced me to the community. Got in, ended up getting some on the secondary market. Was fortunate to pick up a few on the next drop. But you kept evolving. They've not been maybe it's not been the perfect drop, or there's been some challenges. One thing that I quickly recognize, though, and that I'm not sure everyone else in the space has yet, is that ZED is not a drop platform. This isn't a one-time, we're going to roll out 10,000 or in your case 38,000 avatars or ponies and then think about how we can build utility. This is just one piece. And I've thought oftentimes, like, part of me, as much as I'm excited to hopefully add some more Genesis ponies to my stable, at the same time I'm almost like, man, I can't wait until these 38,000 are out there and the drops are done, that it can free up all that brain space and time and energy for your team to go to the next phase. Is that not downplaying the drops, but is that kind of a shared feeling amongst the team?
100% correct. If I could give you 200, I would. No, look, we're not a drop machine. We are racing and a breeding machine, and we're an events machine. We're a utility machine, like beyond that. And that's the thing. Like, we've done what we could. Like, it was unfortunate what happened in the Echo drop. It really was, because we were ready. We were really ready, and it was just a few, again, like I said, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And there was a few mishaps there, unfortunately, that caused that we had to pull the plug on that. And I'm happy that we did pull the plug, because it was otherwise going to be just unfair. And so that happens, man. And we wear it. It's like, shit, we dropped the ball. As long as you're not missing the free throw in the last, in a game 7, with no time on the clock to put you to tie, and yet alone put yourself ahead. That's my analogy. I always come back to sports, because we're a team, and it's okay that we drop the ball every now and then, but as long as we keep winning, and keep our eyes on the prize, and we collect ourselves and we go, all right, that's cool, my bad, let's go. And that's the mentality that we have as a team, and we're a strong team, and we're stronger for it, I think. But nothing smoothly. Like, we released, like I said, it was a surprise. We'd always pegged breeding to come out the 12th this month, or 12th of July, sorry. And we felt we could get it out early and surprise you guys, which we did. Which was nice. It's not like we wanted to do it differently, right? We didn't want to kind of get the anticipation up. Instead, we thought, let's try this, right? Because also, you got to remember, we're new at everything. So everything we're doing, we're also collecting data on it, and like we'll see if that was a good idea. Unfortunately, the first hour, it wasn't. Like, the good thing was, it was good timing to do it. I jumped straight in and started testing, and my horse got stuck. It didn't breed. I was like, fuck, man. Oh no, we did it again. Like, my heart sank. I was just like, fuck. But the team was on it, and I think it took them an hour, and then it kind of everything went smoothly, or at least most of the things. It's never going to be 100%. Like, we still get stuck races. We still get horses stuck here and there. We still get things, and I apologize for that. But that's, the tech, we're just not there yet, right? So that's why we also are still in beta. We're still working out those kinks. And to answer your question in such a long-winded way, yes, the drops, we're not a drop machine. We would rather take time. We'd rather get those 38,000 horses out and then focus on the true core mechanics of our game, which is breeding and racing. So once we get those horses out, and we're gonna do a few more drops here and there, like we're doing the $1 million drop, but that's also like us saying, you know what? It's important that these empty stables and these people who've been trying, that we've been, for lack of a better word, stuffing up. We haven't been able to do, live up to our end of the deal. let's do this, man. Let's target mostly empty stables. Like everybody else has a chance, but not as big as the empty stables, because I think, and there was uproar about that too. But I think what's important to note is the long game here, the bigger picture. The more people who race, the more activation, the more user adoption, mass adoption, the better it is for everybody. We want this platform to live on forever. We want this ecosystem to evolve. Like my dream is to let go of these 38,000 horses, and then let you guys decide what happens. You will be the controllers of this universe and this metaverse. We'll be there to help out. I don't know if you've heard my analogy, like it's an NBA analogy. Well, but like, yeah, go figure, right? But you, if you own a horse, you own a player. If you own a stable of horses, you're a coach of a team. Yeah. No, you're a coach of the team, right? But if you own a track, which is going to happen one day, now you're like Mark Cuban and you own your arena. And imagine what you can do there, right? And we will act as, and not to, I respect the NBA, but not to act, but ZED will be like the NBA. It'll be the organization, the umbrella in which this happens, this ecosystem on which all these things happen. And you as Mark Cuban owning a track, or as Rick Carlisle, where did he go? Where's he now? Did he go to Indiana?
Good question. No. I think so.
He went, yeah, I think he went to Indiana. I don't know why I had him in my head, just because it was recent news. But anyway, so as him, yes. Then you're coaching a team. And if you have the star horse, you've got Luka Doncic, or you've got Tatum, or whatever you want to call him, and so on. So that's the kind of way I break it up. And then imagine what you can do as a Mark Cuban, right? If you have that access to, you decide what kind of events you want to run. Now you got to think about, halftime entertainment, maybe between events. You got to think about sponsorships. You decide the pursing and whatnot. And you deck out your track, and that's exciting. The dream, man. Yeah, it's super exciting, and empowered by NFT and that ownership, that true ownership. That's what's fucking cool, man. Like, it's disruptive.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the lead on it. I think this. I assume the sandbox drop. I mean, they sold out in seconds, so I assume that win is expected, or went well this week. Congrats on that.
I was talking to Zed Chateau. When he mentioned it to me, and I was like, really? Like 3 seconds? Like. Mm-hmm. That's humbling again. Like, again, it comes back to like, fuck, people want to be a part of this. I'm so, so very proud, very humbled by the support, and that's why I feel, don't get me wrong, we feel the pressure too. Like we got a lot of people to make happy, and we got to just continue doing what we're doing. We'll get there, man.
Well, I think I'm speaking on behalf of the community and all of our listeners. We appreciate you listening to the feedback, and it's always. There's the communication and keeping everyone up to speed. And I mean, I don't think enough has been said about this $1 million drop. I mean, it's, it's not just, you mentioned Bored Ape Yacht Club, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, an incredible community. They just rewarded their community with the puppies here, the dogs, the Bored Ape Kennel Club recently for existing users, right? Community members. And we've seen that in some others, Larva Labs did it with their Me Bits for punk holders. But I was trying to think, I know there's not been one on this scale, but any other project that's other than just a random giveaway or maybe 100 free mints, I can't think of anything that's done, even 6 figures worth of giveaways to new users.
I know
$1 million of horses.
Yeah. So, it's $1 million worth of horses, like on a drop retail. So that's not even taking into account what it is on the secondary market, right? It's like $8 million worth, really. But the thing there is, again, people firsthand will go, and I thought this too, oh fuck, are we diluting the market now? Are we going to take away is the price going to come down on secondary markets because we're just throwing these out for free? I don't think so. For numerous reasons. We're not even fucking finished our game yet. We're not even halfway there, to be honest. Yet alone out of the dugout, for a baseball analogy. But for the fact that it's feeding the people who want to get in, and we've always had this ethos from the early days when we were doing clubhouse chats. Me and Rob were in there, and it was always about, this whole idea of this horse ownership is that everybody can partake, right? And I know the prices are driven by the market, so not everybody can get it. I can't even get a Z1 Nakamoto, man. I can my buy-in is a Z10, right? But the fact that we can keep the Z10s down to $120, $130 on a drop, or $150, whatever it is on a drop, and then also be able to give these horses out to people who otherwise couldn't get them. I think that's important. I think another thing that echoes that sentiment of getting people into the game and is the partnership that we did with YGG.
Awesome.
Which again, yeah, people are like, oh man, why are you doing that? You guys, they're getting ahead. If you look at what they've done with Axie Infinity and how they've empowered third world countries and helped people through poverty and through like, they've
Talk
changed
about a revolution.
lives.
Yeah. Talk about a
Yeah,
revolution or
man,
movement.
that's
It's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, dude, I cannot be more passionate about that. I'm more proud of doing stuff like that. That's important. Like,
I got chills.
Me too, bro. Me too. I get so excited about it, but I also get sad when people don't see that. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't. Yeah, I'm an emotional guy. Don't get me wrong, but I get sad. It can upset me when people don't see bigger picture stuff, right? And that's okay. It's okay because we're different, you know. And again, not to go political, you can just look at politics in this world. People are different, and that's the beauty of the world, is the nuances that we have, you know, and the differences. So it's about, if we can make that all come together, man, then we're doing our job, you know, just like you were talking about before. So yeah, that's important stuff. It's very deep, the shit we're talking about. Hey,
it's good stuff, man. I'm really enjoying it. You mentioned Yield Guild games. Everyone that's listening may not be familiar. Do you mind just high level, kind of the 10,000 foot view of what they did with Axie Infinity and kind of this, at least their concept of what they're building there and how you see that playing out with Zed?
So what they do is they rent out horses, right? So they've got a stable of 35 horses, I believe, to correct me wrong, which they've purchased of us, and they're able to now rent them out and lease them to people who otherwise can't afford to buy a horse for $110 or $50, $150 or $200. So they'll have a renting program where they can rent a horse, and then they can make a return by using this horse, breeding or racing, and just being a part of the game. So again, it's allowing people who otherwise wouldn't have access to our game to come in, but it's also giving them an opportunity to get the yield returns that everybody else who plays this game has. And they need it more than we do. I'm not going to go, no, actually, I'm not going to go on record and say that, because that's wrong. I don't know how much other people need it, so that's wrong of me, but I know they need it. So that I can say, and from that standpoint, I think that's beautiful. And what they did with Axie Infinity, you know, they're based in the Philippines. You know, Philippines is going through mass poverty, and they were able to supply game assets and get these people involved with Axie Infinity through playing it on mobile and make a living, or not make a living, but get by. You know, it's not about making a massive return. This is about putting food on the table. This is about putting a roof over your head. It's about having drinking water. You know, it's really that meta, right? And that's the perspective I think is important.
Yeah, really powerful documentary. I saw. I'll throw that in the show notes.
Yeah, please do.
Axie Infinity, from what they've done in the Philippines. Just really incredible stuff. And this is
Beautiful.
just one, you know, scholarship fund, or one you know, organization like this that's helping those less fortunate get started.
Hopefully, it's the first of many.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Really exciting to see to think about what you know, what can transpire here, and beyond just gaming and you know, those that are already in crypto or the space, is truly is changing lives and providing for people.
Yes, sir.
Ebs, shifting gears on you a little bit here. I know you mentioned Novus Earth, and I've seen some of the drawings and some of the vision. I got started in the Bored Ape Book Club last month. The first book we read was The Planet of the Apes, and then this upcoming month here, actually, we kick it off. Last night was Ready Player One, and
Ernest Cline.
I cheated. I started on, I think, last Friday, and I don't know, I've burned through maybe half the book. I couldn't put it down. I've never seen the movie. I've never read the book before. It's so good, and it's just like, man, it's like connecting all these dots to me as far as where we're heading here. But what any comments on that, or do you have another best book that or movie or something that's kind of got your creativity flowing in this space, or have you just always been a believer in the metaverse?
It's definitely sci-fi, man. Like I'm not much of a reader, but Ready Player One, like, so what I read usually is autobiographies. I love reading. I could never read Harry Potter. I could never read about dragons and witches and all that stuff. But Ready Player One was different because I'm so entrenched in that world. And I read it in like 3 days, man. Like, it was like you said, I couldn't put it down. And the movie, I'm a big fan. I know many people who worked on it. It was done in Singapore, ILM in Singapore. I know a lot of guys who worked on it, and it's just like, when you watch that movie, you can watch it again and again. The Easter eggs that are in there, man, it's just, and the level of work, the quality of work is just fantastic. And there's so many great ideas. There's so many great ideas. In terms of things that inspire me, I mean, Black Mirror, huge. The Netflix series, if you haven't watched that, those guys are provocative, they're in tune, they understand trends, and they project them through these amazing stories, like short, I think they go for an hour. But they're always provocative, and they really get you like, oh shit, man. Like, and they that stuff is really, really cool. But otherwise, yeah, I like reading just autobiographies, like which just puts me inside somebody else's head and what they've been through in life. And similarly, I guess with like podcasts as well. I like listening to. I got these podcasts. This one called what's it called? Finding Mastery and Science of Success.
Okay.
They're really good, man, because there's some really clever people that they interview. There's also Tim Ferriss. I have to look him up. What's his name? Tim Ferriss. Yeah. I mean, these guys are just great thinkers, man, and I get so much inspiration from them. So my routine there, I only listen to podcasts when I go to the gym, and so I try to go to the gym every morning for at least 40 minutes, and then I'll put a podcast on, and so I'm doing good for my body, and I'm feeding my mind all this stuff that I feel I can put into my work and in my ideas. So it's yeah.
I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan. I'll have to check out the other two. Those are new ones for me.
Yeah, so Science of Success and Finding Mastery. So what they do is they talk to successful people and interview them. So an example, one of them in the Finding Mastery, he was just interviewing an Australian cave diver who went over and had to do, he was remember those kids that got stuck, the soccer team that got stuck? I think it was Philippines again, or Thailand. And he had to put them in, he was an anesthesiologist. How do you say it when you put people under?
Anesthesiologist?
Yeah, anesthesiologist. That's a tough thing to say. So, like I said, I'm not an academic. Anesthesiologist, and he had to go over there and put these kids under and take them out with scuba divers onto the other side. And he takes you through the whole thing and how they came to that conclusion. And at the end of it, I don't want to spoil it, but I think I will. He comes to a predicament where he's like, well, either they're going to suffer in here and die a horrible death, or I put them to sleep and they may not wake up again. And he was okay with that. And he takes you through that whole fucking process. And that's inspiring, man. That's real people doing real shit, saving real lives. I think that really gets my goosebumps going, and like that there are people out there like that. That's inspiring, people who are masters at their craft and in different areas.
Agreed. Speaking of inspirational people, any do you have a favorite inspirational Twitter follow?
Oh, fuck, Twitter follow. Nah, man. Look, honestly, I'm new to Twitter. Very new to Twitter, because I got into Twitter because of ZED, to be honest. They don't use it over here as much. I'm on Instagram. I like following artists on Instagram to get that.
I love in the space. Who's your favorite current digital artist?
In NFT space?
Yes.
Look, Beeple is good, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, Beeple, there's a reason why he's there. And it's like, I know people get tired of it, but he's actually really talented. Like, for him to churn out a piece of artwork like that every day,
pretty incredible.
That's incredible. And he's crazy. So he needs his respect. There's this guy, Dario De Sena, who's out there as well, who's doing those third eyes. I like his work. I do like the apes, to be honest. Like, I've actually got 2 apes. I aped in again, because just in case I have to sell one, I've still got one. Like, I've been offered stuff on my original ape, and I just haven't been able to sell it, even though it would be a profit like crazy. So I'm really, like, I love the ape. I love the aesthetics. I do like the wicked craniums too. I think they have again, one of the things that I go for is like this artistic, and it's got elegance to it, where there's a lot out there, and I don't want to name names, but there's a lot of them out there that are really rushed. And I like the artwork first, and then I look into the utility. And if they pull the rug on us, then too bad. But Bored Apes has both. I'm hoping Wicked Cranium has the utility, because I really do like their artwork. I think it's got so much detail, but it's also balanced really nicely. And it feels like this, it feels like and again, so it's bias as well, right? It's super subjective, right? Like, art is super subjective.
But I think that's good. I think that's for those looking at
Exactly.
projects, getting into space, it's, there's couple ways you
Exactly.
can look at. One, it's something you enjoy, it's pure art and something that catches your eye. Second way
Yeah.
could be it's pure investment, whether it's a long play or
Yeah.
something you're looking to
Exactly.
flip. And
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying the education piece too, just getting into these different communities and see how they're doing things
Yeah.
differently than other projects. But safe to say that the art is, if you're looking to evaluate a new project, that art's it's got to resonate with you. Is that a safe assumption?
For me, that's of course
Mhm.
the first trigger. I want to own it because I think it looks good, and I thought the apes did that for me when I saw them first. So,
Is there anything
uh,
that you're evaluating a project that you specifically look out for to as far as avoid or something that's a turn off to you?
oh, look, I don't look deep enough into these projects because I'm so busy with my own. That's the
Mm-hmm.
sad thing. I do jump into Twitter talks. I try to listen to a lot of people. I get what it is. I mean, I think you need to understand who the founders are, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. I think they have to be upfront. That's why I'm out there, man. Like people could, like, I don't want to put it out there, but people will know, they know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm not shy about that. I think that's important. I think it's important that if I'm out there selling a product that I believe in, then they should know who I am, and they should know who my team is, and who the others are too. I mean, Chris and Rob are approachable as well, and so is Jeff, and like maybe not as much as me on the front line, but that's okay. Like I'm there, and I report shit back, and it's really important because I'm passionate about what we're doing. I live and breathe it. It's my full time, if not more than full time thing, and we've got a lot riding on it as a family. We've got a lot riding on it as creators. You know what I mean? So you got to just be real and be transparent. I mean, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
is, right? That's
It
what
is, yeah.
crypto is too. So I'll be doing it a disservice if I was hiding somewhere
Agreed.
and not giving you my name. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I agree that the team behind these projects is that's the most important element to me. It's just
yeah,
like, growing up, as an entrepreneur, it's often not the product or the opportunity
yeah,
itself. It's can the entrepreneur pivot? Can they evolve? Can they learn and
exactly.
listen? And a good team is going to do that. You're gonna overcome those, those bumps
That's the
along the
thing.
way.
Yeah, they say they invest in the team. Like the idea is one thing, but usually they invest in the team
Hmm.
behind the idea. And
Certainly.
so I believe that, and I think we do have a really powerful team, and we still got a long way to go, and we still got a lot to learn. Such a new space, but full trust in in our abilities, and so far so good, I would say.
No doubt. And I respect you see a lot of anonymity. Speaking of hard words to say, I don't know if I got
Yeah.
that one right.
And you
Anonymity.
tell me. I'm half Danish, bro. So I anytime I can't pronounce an English word, I just go, man, that's the Dane in me, So I got a fallback. I blame my
That's
mom.
funny. You see a lot of that in this space, and that's okay too. If someone wants to remain
Oh,
anonymous,
for
that's fine.
sure,
But
for sure.
what's their background, right? Are they there? Are they visible? Are they going to engage? Or once something goes the wrong
Yeah,
direction, are they going to run and hide and never see them again?
yeah.
I think
That's the
people's
thing.
history, whether it's they know you as
Mr. X or
your full name, or
exactly.
it's Mr. X, and but you've been around and you're not brand new to the space. I think it's very important to understand
I
who's behind
agree.
the projects.
In hindsight, I shouldn't have probably not share my last name, but no, I'm joking. But I agree 100%. It's not really about the name. It's about whether you're ready to face the music when the
Mhm.
music's playing, and then that's important. So, we've done that from the beginning. We're always really upfront with our community. We'll take it on the chin, and we'll take it in bunches if we have to. We know what's at stake here as well. So, and the good thing is people care, and that's why they get upset. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you gotta twist it around. You gotta really look at the perspective of why people are upset, and that's cool. That's okay. And we're sorry that you are upset, but stick with us, man. It's a process.
Mhm.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, in
Absolutely.
so many ways. So
And whether it's we're still in the dugout, the top of the first inning. I think on
yeah,
another show I heard you say we're still in the layup line. I agree.
that's what I said. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is still
We're warming
so
up.
early. There was a thread going around on Twitter yesterday about the unique users across some of these different projects that have dropped here recently, and just in the avatar space, from VFriends to Bored Apes and
Mm,
everything in between. And it's in the tens of thousands. I think maybe like 14,000 unique users, and to think that it seems so much bigger than that. I know there's a lot more people in the space than that, but in terms of a lot of this activity, it's still a really small,
So small and
intimate
the great
community,
team.
and we may not even be at the layup line yet. We may still be in the locker room, drawing up the pregame. It's so much in the infancy stages, and I appreciate your leadership getting out there, because I think what's happening for those strong projects like ZED Run and like Bored Apes, it's having an impact that's far bigger than just your projects, right? It's others are seeing
Agreed.
it, and you're leaders amongst your peers, and I'm seeing others. It's not just the copycats and others looking to emulate the success a
Yeah.
project had on a specific drop or anything, but it's how you're leading, right? It's the communities you're building and how you're building these successful communities others are emulating in a positive way.
You're absolutely right, man. No, I really appreciate that, man, because that's really what it's about. It's about the community. It's always been a community first project, and it's about, so we always thank guys like you and girls like anybody else who's out there who are doing speaking Zed and interested in our project and doing the Twitter spaces, doing the articles, tweeting and getting excited about the horse she just bought or the race she just won. Like all that stuff is super cool. So and that's the community, and we're there and that's why we need to be out there, and that's why we need to be there and support them, because they're showing us so much support. So it's and it's our responsibility to educate people in this space too. Like that comes with it as well. Like if we're pioneering and pushing forward and doing all these new things with new tech, and we're trying to figure it out as we go as well, there is no roadmap that's preconceived for what we're doing. Like there's nothing to follow. We're doing this our way, right? And it's our responsibility to make sure that we're communicating what we're doing, and also being transparent, being open to feedback, being open to communicate to talks like this, and then also educating people in the space, because like we talked about before, so many new people are new to crypto, yet alone NFTs, and some people are being introduced to crypto via NFTs, so they're kind of skipping that step, which is already in the dugout, and now you go into something which is pre that, so it's so early. And I know I've said this, like, I feel like I've been saying this for the last month, which then makes it feel like it's a year because it's crypto. We are up against, we're up against people who want stuff now. It's now things have to come. I ordered that iPhone, it's rose gold, it should be at my door the next day. If it's not the next day, I'm calling them up and I'm having to go at them. You know what I mean? It's the instant gratification society we're living in, and blockchain ain't ready for that. We're still dial-up, man. We're still. I would love to put these guys and girls who have that kind of instant gratification. I want to give them a Nokia 3210 or an old rotary telephone, and say this is what we had to deal with, man. Like I said, you're from the '80s, I'm from the '80s. We played. Man, I used to play Commodore Amiga. You remember the Commodore Amiga?
Dude, I was just going to ask you. That was my next question. Is what was your first video game console? No, that's
perfect.
Great, perfect segue. Okay. You read my mind.
Perfect. Yeah, well, you're an '80s kid, so I appreciate it. The Commodore, man, you had to put the tape cassette in, and you had to load it, and then we'd load it. We knew it'd take 20 minutes, so we ran down on the street, kicked a football around, soccer ball, whatever. Came back up. Somebody went and checked it. Oh, you have to put the other tape in and load the next level, and sometimes it wouldn't load. Imagine that now, man. You can't even watch it. I know people who can't even, like, when Netflix isn't loading quick enough, or you send them a 3-minute YouTube video and they only watch 10 seconds because it's too much. Like, that's, our minds have gone. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm laughing because I just visualized dialing into my Juno email that took me 30 minutes just to download my email in the morning.
Man.
Really dating ourselves here.
Yeah, but I think it's perspective too. So, and that's where blockchain is, because it's so new. Like, it's Web3. We're figuring out what this can do, and it's only going to get better, right? So as an early adopter, I mean, people gave up on the internet early on. I found an article the other day. I think I tweeted it, like the headline saying, oh, the internet's a fad and blah blah blah. And it's an old article, right, from when the internet was out. Yeah, look at it now, right? it's pretty much controlling everything.
Well, and I've been saying for at least the last 6 months, I think this Web3 is going to be just as disruptive as as that,
Yeah,
is what we
of course.
experienced in the late 90s,
100%.
early 2000s. This is maybe even on a larger scale, because it's going to impact every single industry on this planet. It's really
100%.
it's changing things. It's changing things fast. I'm not smart enough to know how fast it's going to change or impact all these other industries, but it's well on its way. And to think about, it wasn't that long ago when we were playing, for me, it was that Commodore 64, whether it was, I'm trying to take Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Fourth and Inches, those games were great then. And it wasn't, to think where this space is going to be in, 20, 30 years is, I can't even fathom it.
I'll tell you a cool story though, real quick, like based on gaming, because I'm a big gamer, man. So, Commodore 64s and the Amiga 1200, one of the best things ever, right? So it's the Commodore Amiga, the Commodore 64. I got the 8-bit Nintendo when I think my dad bought it for me and my brother when I was 8 or 9. So we got into that, and then it was like Nintendo all the way. But then I got a Sega Dreamcast at one point as well. Yep. So we got the Super NES, we got the Nintendo 64, but the Dreamcast, super underrated, man. Yep, what a fantastic machine. And then the PlayStations and whatnot. But what happened when I was like, how old was I? I must have been like 18. I worked for Club Nintendo.
Oh, wow.
This is one of the coolest jobs to have as a student. And then after hours, I'd go and man the phones when people called in and had to find their Pokemons, or figure out where Zelda had to go, where Link had to go to uncover that, whatever, right? And so we sat with an old school database, because I didn't play all those games, but I played most of them. And then when people couldn't find their fucking Charizard or whatnot, then I could ask them questions and then put it into the database, and it would slowly like cross off the list and show me where to point them in direction. And we had kids come up to us and get our autographs because we were Club Nintendo customer support. That was a cool story. It's one of my favorite jobs ever.
We definitely the nostalgia's pouring out here today. You think
we're so lucky.
Commodore or did you have science fairs in school, middle school or elementary school over there? Did you do like a science fair?
We did, but I don't have any firm recollections of those, so I didn't ever make the full. I remember the Bunsen burner and doing stuff like that in science.
The only reason I have a very firm recollection of my science fair, is because my 7th and 8th grade year, my science fair both years, I did it on, I kid you not, Tecmo Super Bowl on the Nintendo.
Oh, that's
on predictive analytics, and it was I was simulating seasons and predicting the results the following season, and it was really just an excuse to play video games for my science fair project, and but ended up getting I think like 39 out of 40 on it. It was probably my most proud academic accomplishment was my my 7th, 8th grade science fair project on the video games.
That's brilliant, bro. Brilliant.
Speaking of things didn't plan to talk about on today's show, but
fuck it.
Appreciate the trip down memory lane.
That's what it's all about, man.
Back to Zed real quick, because I know I don't want to not do the listeners justice here. We talked a lot. We talked a little bit about Sandbox. Is there anything you can share in terms of Zed's plans there, specifically in the big lot you have? Is it still too early? Are you in planning stages? Anything?
It's still a bit too early. Like, look, it's big land, man. I need to get in there and see what's possible. There's a lot of ideas. You definitely want a racetrack in there. You definitely want to simulate, some form of Zed, universe, whether it's Novus buildings and Novus-esque, bringing that in there. In my mind, and this is me just shooting the shit with you, like taking you through my process. Like my mind, Novus exists as a parallel timeline to our Earth, and Sandbox is on its own timeline, and Decentralands is on its own timeline. So it's about figuring out what goes into each timeline, each parallel universe. They're all going on the same. It's quantum physics. It's where this crazy idea of Novus came from. And it, again, Spider-Verse, one of the greatest animated movies of all time, and it's recent. I really love that movie, and Rick and Morty as well. The next season's. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
I've not got into it. I'm gonna have to, because you're not the first person that's.
Dude, you got it, man. You got it. Like I had to. It took me 2 goes as well. Like the first time, my guys were just raving on about it. I was like, I watched it, and I wasn't in the mood, I guess, and I was like, this is silly. But then I watched it again, and I'm like, this is brilliant. It's absolutely. Those guys are on another wavelength, and it's all about parallel universes, and Rick's got this. He's the craziest top scientist in the world, and he can travel wherever, and that's basically set the premise for ZED as well, and where Novus is, and where we can travel through time and put racetracks anywhere. And so to come back again, I'm really good at taking these questions and going all the way around and come back, and I'll get to Sandbox now. Sandbox is on its own timeline, but it's a place that you can visit as a ZED user. It's going to be ZED. It will have racetrack. I don't know what more utility was, like, because Sandbox is a gaming engine, right? And I'm thinking, damn, we could do so much more. It could be like you could utilize their engine now to make all these crazy mini games that are evolved around ZED,
Huh.
So I'm shooting the shit with you now. You're getting an insight to how my brain works. And it's like, it's fun because this is the best part, is spitballing ideas, and then people bounce back ideas, and you land on something and you keep creating within that idea. So there's so much potential, but I need to sit down with the Sandbox guys. I need to line up. I've got a meeting lined up with them. And then they'll take me through what's possible and what's not in the short term, and what's going to be possible in the long term. And then when I know what we can do, then we will go away and we'll start brainstorming and mapping out what we want to do. And so we can utilize it to the maximum. And also, we're never going to go half-ass. We're always going to try to push the limits. So I need to know what those limits are.
Very cool. We're really looking forward to it.
Me too.
not to hold you to it, because I know you guys are in planning phase as well. Do you think, like, I have got one, premium lot, just a small 1x1 lot myself. Yeah. You talk about track ownership. Is that from a just a scale or a space? Is like, do you have any indication or clue yet? Like, could a track fit inside of one by one plot, or you're looking more like a minimum of 3x3, or no way you need at least a 12x12 for a full track? Any idea on that?
Yeah, so when we create tracks in the ZED universe, like when it's going to become track ownership, that's going to be separate to what Sandbox is. It's going to be our IP, right? It's going to be in our universe. So when you own a ZED track, you're going to own a ZED track. It's going to be on that that's going to be that level of graphics, etc., right? Whether there's a crossover and that track is then mirrored into another, like through a partnership like that, That would be fucking amazing, right? So that's I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Then you got to think about the different ways that we can do tracks. Did you ever see our AR app on Google? Have you played with it?
I've not played with it myself. I've seen others.
Okay. So what you can do there, you can bring a horse in, right? And this is again very Ready Player One inspired. It's like when she's picking out her Akira Mogura bike and she throws it on the ground and it comes up, right? But she can scale that up and down, and you can scale your ZED horse up and down. Now you can, because they're digital, right? We've got to play that into the aspects. Like our horses at a scale, they're huge. They're beasts, right? They're like 7 feet tall. They're digital beasts, but because they're digital, we are able to manipulate them and make them small. There is plans, and it's on the roadmap. We just haven't been able to revisit it yet because it's not a priority. But the AR app that we have now is just a foundational app to show what's possible at a low level. But the plans that we have in place for that is insane. I really want to Tamagotchify that. I want to take it to the next level. I want to make it feel real, emotional. And we want AR racing too. And AR racing could be on your tabletop. I shared some concepts a while back. If you go through my Twitter feed, you'll see one. But it's like a guy with mixed reality glasses is like looking at the future of what this could be. And the horses are small, but they're running on one little, what is that? 30 centimeter, a foot by a foot, track, which then runs under the, like any video game, like old school video game, is the track moving under the horses, and the horses are then moving back and forth. So you could do it like that. They could be running in their place and the track is moving, and then they're just inching in front and inching behind, just like, and that's how, all these runner games are made, like Subway Surfers, if you know that, or any of those, Talking Tom, Gold Rush, the mobile games, those things are just running on the spot, and it's the track and the environment that's moving by them. And so you could do that, and you could still have the race, and you could still be tight, and it could still use the same algorithm and data that's used in the real racing. And so you could do it on as small a spot or as big a spot, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
Very cool. Very cool. I hope
that made sense.
It does. No, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
To think about just all the possibilities here is, it's hard for me to shut off my brain, I'm sure.
We haven't even talked about VR yet.
We haven't talked about VR. We, all the ZED fans will be like, you haven't even asked me about fatigue. Anything you can share on that this morning? I know I'm running a little long, so I really appreciate your time, and it's getting late in the day there.
So, no, perfect. So fatigue is, we just put the blog out, surprise readings out, right? And in the blog there's actually a questionnaire at the bottom for, we want our community to have a say. And we do this all the time. We've been doing this in the 2 years. If you ask the old schoolers like Poseidon and Doofy, we always talk to those guys. We always kind of keep them in the loop of what we want to do, so we don't pull the rug under people, and also keep the game, keep the ethos of the game the same, right? And the right way. So in that blog, there's a questionnaire, 10 or 12 questions, and also just like paragraphs where you can give your idea of what you think fatigue should be, because we want to listen and hear what the people say, and then take that into consideration when we make it. But at a high level, fatigue, what it is, it's just going to make sure that the field opens up, right? Right now, we've got horses dominating, and they can run forever, right? And if you have the same horse always appearing in your class 3 or class 2, and he's kicking your ass, and he needs to get tired at some point. So then there's a window of opportunity, a strategic window where you can go, Steph Curry's not there. I'm jumping in now. Now it's my time to shine, right? So the idea of fatigue is to kind of make it a bit more fair and break up the racing strategies and create new strategies. So now if I'm an owner of, say, Steph Curry, I'm going to pick the races that I know I'm going to win, be it if it's only 3 a day, 5 a day, or whatever. The fatigue, again, that's not what's set in stone. That's what we're asking you guys. What should it be? And then we'll take that into account. But now I have to then strategize where I can make my best ROI, my return. And so then I'm leaving all these other races that I would have come in at as well. And, it should also help out with, I think there's some people out there perhaps using bots that are just like autofilling races, and now if they're autofilling, they're going to lose a lot of those because of fatigue. So it's kind of fixing a couple of issues, we see glaring issues out there at a low level, and then we've still got more work to do. We've still got more work to do in the classes. We still got more work to do in racing in general, but this is a good start.
I know ZED's in beta today. Is that is there a timeline? Is it, hey, once we're ready and we feel things are there, then we'll drop the beta, and we'll anything you can speak on?
It's a good question. I feel like we need to get personally, and this is me, Chris Ebeling. I can't speak for the other 4 guys yet, because it's not a conversation that we've had, because there's so much we're fixing right now that it's not going to happen in the next 3 months. Do I foresee it in the next 6 months? I would even be hesitant there, because I think personally, I would want all the attributes there. I would want track conditions, weather conditions. I would want gate preferences. I would want all those things unlocked and put into the game. So then it's not beta. Then it feels like, okay, these horses are now fully uncovered, or their black box is fully available, and then we'll assess from there. That's my personal opinion. I think that's the way to do it, but I could be wrong.
Seems wise. No, I think it's I'm certainly, I can't speak for everyone, but I am certainly along for the journey, and it's exciting. It's very enjoyable today, and a fun platform, fun game, and there's the levels of gamification already that exist to think about where once you start adding these other elements, what can come of it.
Exactly. There's so much more to come, man. That's what excites me, but also annoys me, because I want to get there faster, and like the rest of you. But we just got to be patient. It's like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to trust the process. Yeah, all these ancient proverbs. Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's all that stuff. But it's true, and there's a reason why people say those things, because that's reality.
Yeah, and this is you said earlier, you're building a game, a platform that you expect to last generations, and these horses be running for hundreds of years. So it's take the time, build the foundation right. And
for sure,
this is people talk a lot about this is the furthest thing from a rug pull or a cash grab I think you find in the space, when it's you're making decisions for the future of the game. Even talking about this Thursday $1 million drop. I think it just goes to show, you're putting that kind of money back in the community, getting horses in new stables. I guess I'll add for this. I hope I don't get a horse. If I do, we'll do a giveaway on the BP show.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Ape and Pony Show.
How many horses do you have?
Well, was just a little over 30 coming into this morning, and
well done.
The stud barn was hopping this morning, so I need to go back and check after we get off here to see what it's up to now. I gotta. It's name and ponies day, so we're.
It's one of the best things, and I'm so happy that we could get it open, because breeding is, some people call us a breeding game, and I'm not going to say we aren't, because you're going to be able to breed some fucking legends. And it's like donkeys of today, legends of tomorrow, right? That's the kind of a quote I say for a number of reasons. A, you might think you have a donkey now, just hold on, unless you can flip it, whatever, but hold on to it because you never know when we uncover all these other attributes, where this donkey may shine. And also when we get racing classes fixed and the stuff like special, like custom events, like where you're able to host your own lobbies and host your own races, like then you can create your own criteria for races. And then it could be just, hey, this is a race for those that haven't won any races yet. And, you know, the similar stuff we need to do with our class system is to create these kind of events. So there's room for everyone. You know, you might not be NBA level racer, but you could be a G League, you could be a Division 2 or Division 3 or whatnot. You know what I mean? So that's the idea. So
absolutely,
there's room for everyone.
It's so great because it's such a simple game in the sense that you can get a horse in this drop on Thursday and you can immediately go on and start racing the horse and have fun, enjoy that. You can start breeding, but at the same time, for as simple as it is, there's also so many strategic layers and gamification to it. I'm sure, I would imagine most of our listeners are very familiar with ZG and ZED Gazette. That was probably the first community tool resource I stumbled across. And
he's a legend. He's a legend.
It's really, I mean, to how deep he gets in the breeding and just
smart. He's a strategy
smart man goes into it. Super smart, and it really just having a lot of fun with it. So
he's too smart for his own good sometimes. I'm joking. I'm just throwing that. I hope he listens. But
I think we may have him on not this coming Sunday, next Sunday. I think we're having ZG on if he's still up for it.
Oh, perfect,
for that one as well. We'll have a
lot
more ponies out there to talk about and do some breeding fun. Yeah. Talk about those tournaments and stuff. This past weekend I had to. It was fun. I played in the donkey tournament by Zombie Racing.
Yeah, nice. Zombie Racing. Well done.
My donkey was too much of a donkey. He I think you talk about future tournaments. One that we were throwing around the Crazy Eights. Maybe I got one I think he's finished in 8th place in like 60% of the races. It's like his finishes are like 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, and that's the only thing he does. But somewhere someday there'll be a place for a donkey 8th place finish.
Look, there's room for everyone. Like, trust me. Like, the thing is, you could have the 3-legged race. You know what I mean? Like, it's about if there's a race that fits your type, right? And I think there will be, because this universe is going to be like, I like to think it's ever expanding, it's infinite, like the universe is. So as tracks populate, as events come up, there's going to just be room for so many people and so many different variances, and that's what excites me. That's where I want to go, because then people can go, man, I belong here. Like this is where this horse goes, and I've got this one horse, he can compete with these guys, and then I've got this one over here with these girls, and so on and so forth. And I think that's so cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm really, not to get ahead of ourselves, but I know it's only a matter of time before we start having like rankings and standings and Triple Crown type races and that kind of stuff. Is so,
events, man, like like a big event, like a big full day event where the main event's at the end. And think about the artists that we're gonna, trying to partner with, the musicians to come in and do stuff like this. There's so much room here, man. It's not just racing; it's everything that goes around it. You know what I mean?
Speaking of partnerships, and last question, I promise. Well, last business question. We'll wrap here, but I have to bring up partnerships. Huge one here recently with InBev and Stella. I actually Lindsay from InBev was on the Mint Condition a few weeks back, and just was so cool to hear her talk about. It was so obvious that this wasn't just like let's cut a check to get our name out there.
No.
They're in the space. They're embracing the space and anything you can speak to about. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like they get this how quickly this world is changing. But anything to speak to on the InBev partnership, the Stella partnership, or just partnerships in general that you can share with the listeners today?
Look, partnerships are huge, and again, it's not about a cash grab for us either. It's about that solidifies our ecosystem. Anytime anybody comes into our space, into your space as a user, don't forget this is a community space. That's huge. Like for AB InBev, biggest brewery in the world, dare I say, and Stella Artois, who's like the biggest sports beer, branded beer, alongside Budweiser. They own Budweiser as well. For them to come to the table and be innovative and risk, I say risk because it is a risk. It's daring to be different. Without risk, there is no innovation. Nobody's innovated anything by playing it safe. You do it by pushing the boundaries and doing something different. And for them to come to the table and say, hey, let's do this. Lindsay's a smart lady. She's been around the block, and she knows what she's doing, and it was awesome. And it's a great thing. So that's, that was the first rodeo for us, our first date, basically. It went well. So we'll see who's buying drinks next time. But no, you know what I mean? Like, so, and that, of course, it just puts so many eyes on our product, and it puts so many more eyes on you guys' horses and girls' horses. Sorry, I go guys and girls. I really hate the word guys. I'm going to just jump in there again. I should start saying gals. You know what I mean? And I don't want to bring it back to this political debate or this, social
I'm with
debate.
you. I respect
there
you're
needs
consciously
to be,
thinking of it. No,
yeah,
I'm the same boat.
I am. I'm
I think
catching myself all the
I
time.
feel
I feel
we have a duty. Leaders,
we do.
We have a duty to catch ourselves, to catch others, and know that, hey, we're not perfect. We're gonna, things like that are gonna slip. It's not that we mean anything. Any. There's no bad intentions behind it. It's not. It's
as long as we stand corrected, man.
Absolutely.
As long as we stand corrected and own it. You know what I'm saying?
Respect.
So I'll go with gals. But Lindsay, she's smart and she gets it, and it's just going to be good for everyone who's involved, because once one brand comes in, we're hoping to see more come. And I'm sure you know about the Atari partnership. That's been a long going. There's going to be some exciting things coming there soon as well. So it's just really, really exciting for everyone and everyone involved. And it's the tip of the iceberg, bro. Here we go.
Ebbs, is there anything ZED related that I haven't asked you about today that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Oh man, no. I look, it's so hard, man. It's like it's 9:15 here. It's been a long day. I can't think of anything. I just hope, I wish everybody the best of luck for the $1 million drop. I really do. I really hope that those horses find homes to people who didn't have. And I really appreciate you going on the show and saying, if you get one, because you still have a chance with your 30-man stable, 30-horse stable, sorry, and that you'd give it away. I think that's exactly the ethos that we'd love to be a part of. But I just hope these horses find a good home, and I hope they introduce some new players, some new people to the game, and they come out and they have fun as much, and they can enjoy the game that we enjoy to build, that we live and breathe, and a game that you gals enjoy to play. So that's it, man. That's about it. And it's just keep your eyes peeled, man. Every week there's something new. So we dropped the breeding this morning. We got $1 million drop later. We'll have some big news next week, I'm sure.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun weekend for sure. No doubt about it.
Yeah, man.
Last question, and then we'll wrap here. Ebbs, is there outside of ZED, and maybe it is Virtually Human Studios, but really more just generally speaking, more broad, not a specific project or ZED specific, but what are you most excited about right now in the NFT space?
How early we are. I still haven't, seen. I think what we're doing, if you think what we're doing is great and pioneering, I do too. I think there's much more to it. There's layers of utility, I really, really believe that we can disrupt gaming and give true ownership and actually a real play to earn philosophy and play to earn living to anybody who plays video games. Like we said, in the Commodore 64 days, like we come from, but people who are playing Fortnite now, the money, I know because my 8-year-old son plays it, and the money that we put into skins. And again, also just what's interesting there, just talking about Rick and Morty, they got a Rick and Morty skin in there now. So think about those partnerships they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't own those skins, but you're still buying them, right? You don't own them. They just sit in the game. You're renting them, right? And so that disruptive nature of what NFTs and crypto is about to do, or is doing, in terms of what we're trying to reflect in with our ownership and our skins. You've seen the Stella skins, you've seen the Preakness skins. If you look enough on the internet, you'll see glimpses of the Atari skins. When they come out, they're going to be rare, they're going to be unique, and if you own one of those, it's going to have its value, and you can sell it. You can peel it off the horse will have its true color underneath, be it Firebrick, be it Azura, whatever, and you can take that skin now and you package that as a separate NFT, and that's another asset which has real intrinsic, real world value. And I think that at a layer, and then just think about everything else now. Fortnite has all these animations, sound bites, you name it. You know, the layers to that in terms of what NFT and crypto can do is insane. And we're scratching the surface. I can't wait to see the next, like, there's going to be other games out there doing what we're doing for sure. And they're going to do it better in their own right. And we're going to learn from them. And then we're going to do ours better in our own right. And you know, ZED is one thing. If you looked at the black book where we've got other ideas, you know, we need to focus on ZED now, but as VHS, man, there's so many other ideas and so many amazing things to play. But you know, one step at a time, one project at a time for now.
I hear you. Well, we certainly appreciate all you're doing in the space today. Having a blast with ZED in the community, and really appreciate your leadership on many fronts, both with on ZED as well as the NFT space, and just being a really solid human. So thanks so much for your time today. Happy birthday. Big week for you here. Happy belated.
Yeah.
And
I'm old now.
Welcome to the club. And
thanks, buddy.
Anyone, if you haven't connected with Chris yet, I am Chris Ebeling on Twitter, chrisebeling.com. Anywhere else? Anyone?
No, that's it, man. That's fine. If you snoop around, you'll find me on Instagram somewhere, but you don't want to go there. That's just family shit. It's all good. Yeah, no, I am Chris Ebeling. Discord, I'm in there as well as Ebs. You know, there's only so much I can give. I like to spend time on Twitter every now. Like, I give Twitter an hour a day, like in snippets, just to make sure that if anybody's reaching out, I'm there. I'm pretty responsible. Not responsible. I'm pretty responsive. There's only been a few people where, you know, if you hassle, if you're not nice, you know, I can't respond to not nice things. You gotta come at me, you know, as a human, man. Like, so that's again, yeah, just, you know, I think we're all human. That's what we were saying from the get-go, you know what I mean? And so I'm very humbled to be in this, or we are humbled by the love of our project, but don't forget we're human too. And that's, we're here for the community, and we're here to build something special for everyone. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate you, and thanks for everything you do for the community.
Ebs, pleasure was mine. Really appreciate you joining us today. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and hope to have you back again sometime in the near future.
Yeah, man. Anytime, bro. Anytime. Appreciate it. I look forward to seeing what names you come up with, man.
Yeah, no, my wheels are spinning, so I will share here later today some of the new names. I don't know if I can top some of the ones I got from a last drop. You guys are quite the namers there at ZED, but
dude, you will. But I think you're doing the right thing. Don't rush it. Just let it simmer. Check the news. Look at highlights. Like, just get current. Me, that's how I look at it. It's like, get current, and then I also look at the color of the horse and see if there's something that goes hand in hand with the color, right? I think that's a smart. That's me. That's how I like it. But
the last one I got from you guys was like a virgin, and is no longer qualified.
There you go. Well, what's her kid going to be called?
I don't know. We gotta maybe I don't know.
Mom's not a virgin anymore.
Yeah, or something. You may just named it. Yeah, really appreciate your time. They had a blast. I will. It's gonna be a fun weekend. Look forward to naming these ponies and seeing what ZED and VHS does next. Listeners, thanks so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate your time. We'll be back Sunday with our regular weekly drop, and look forward to sharing our next guest with you. Look forward to this $1 million drop. Don't miss out on that. Again, this recording will drop on Wednesday. That drop is going to occur. Do we know what time that'll be taking place, or for those it'll just they're just going to appear in their stables some point on Thursday?
There'll be announcements made across the days. Yeah, there's no specific time, you know, as things, we can't predict how fast gas is that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all, you know, like I said, it's dial up, man. But they'll come, and we'll announce it. We'll announce when they're all dropped. And I can't wait to see the people who get it, and I hope they share that they get them, because it's going to be just a very good thing. Very good thing.
So load up those Griffies this weekend and have some fun on the tracks.
Oh man,
listeners, we'll look forward to seeing you out there. Ebs, thanks again for all that you do for the community. We really appreciate you. Listeners, thanks for tuning in today. Stay bored, friends.
Stay bored.